Everything's fine. All right, now we're recording. So I will upload this to YouTube. So if anybody has questions about what we talked about, you can't remember it because we'll go over a lot, you can always go back to our YouTube page and check that out. So my husband came up with this title. He's really proud of himself. He could use another job making all my titles. All right, so we kind of went over this. We're all parent educators, we're all moms, and we're all fully potty trained. Something we're really proud of. So a little bit of credentials in there. All right. So we're going to talk about 4 different, I don't have my notes, Ashley. That's why I was trying to predict. This is you. So we're going to talk about 4 different areas. First, we're going to talk about the signs of readiness, what to look for, what to expect your child to be doing before you even think about potty training. And then we're going to talk about toilet learning prep. So what you can think about to prepare your child, things that you might need, all of that kind of stuff. And then ways to make it fun. I have a couple of books to share with you. We have a book list at the very end that you can look into. And then we'll do our question and answer, because I know we had a couple of families who had specific questions. So we will get to those. If we don't answer them as we talk, then you are more than welcome to ask your questions at the end, or you can stop us too. I'm fine with that. And you can put them in the chat. Julie is going to be our chat facilitator, so she will check that out. So that's kind of how our night will look.
So is your child ready? I think now more than ever, being a mom of 3 kids, and I've also kept a lot of kids throughout my years at home, watching them and then doing parents as teachers, this is a huge part that we really miss out on. A lot of times we get really stuck on kids being old enough or a certain age, or more than most times it's preschool. Oh, well, they're going to go to the 3s class. And by the time they hit the 3s class, they have to be potty trained. So I think we really need to go back to basics, and some preschools are starting to take that limit back to where they are recognizing like all kids aren't ready at 3. They're not all ready to be potty trained. And so they're not making that quite a push as much as they used to be. But they have to be, you know, between 2 to 3.5 years old. They may start earlier and they may show interest, and that's great. But if they don't push them, don't rush them. And they have to have muscle control and ability. So a lot of times you'll notice like they may start staying dry at nap time, or they may stay dry overnight, which are great signs. They may start to tell you when they go potty in their diaper, like I'm wet or I've pooped. And those are all good signs. So just starting to recognize that and kind of being aware, but also not pushing it, not wanting to push them to start earlier than they're ready.
There we go. I love it. All right, so we've got signs of readiness, which there are a lot to take into consideration. Your child may be doing all of these. They might be doing just a couple of these. The very first one is those more predictable bowel movements. So maybe they're always pooping right after breakfast or right before nap time or before bath time, which is always ideal. When my kids were younger, I was like, yes, that's perfect. But their bowel movements, their pooping times, those are getting kind of more scheduled look to that. Less frequent, heavier urination. So sometimes when kids are wearing diapers, they just kind of trickle throughout the day. So they are getting more steady urination. They can hold it for longer periods of time, which leads to lots more pee at one time. And they have the verbal skills to understand. So you're using words like potty, or you're dry, you're wet. They understand the opposite of wet and dry. They can tell you if they need to go or after they went. And they're starting to prefer being dry. So they don't like to sit in either poopy or wet diapers or pull-ups anymore. And they ask to be changed. So they're showing that initiative of really wanting to start this process. have to move all my people. And then they can do all of the motor skills associated with this. So they're walking, they're sitting, they're undressing, they can zip, they can take down their pants and pull their pants up, those types of motor skills that they're utilizing. And they understand the purpose of a potty. So this might be, they know when you go to the bathroom, you're going potty. They understand what happens in the bathroom, and they can recognize that their bladder is full. So they might need to go potty. You might be having those conversations more frequently. And when they're awake, they can hold it. So without always, again, that trickling in the diaper, they have that urge to go, they can hold it longer. They might be doing the potty dance if you see them in the car, or if you're waiting to go to the bath. We'll talk about that in a minute, but, oh, and then they might have a special spot where they poop. So if they're hiding behind a chair or somewhere where they're squatting, but again, you can kind of notice when this is happening and it's being more predictable. We talked about taking off the pants and maybe some changing of a facial expression. So they kind of go, oh, and they get quiet when they pee. So they're definitely recognizing it in themselves. And then there's one that's not on here. I think it got taken off, but they can jump with both feet off the floor. So going to be super honest here, as a mom of 3, I can't jump without peeing my pants. Now you all know, now everybody on YouTube is going to know, it's just a thing. I need to work on that, I will. But when you jump with both feet leaving the floor at the same time, you have all of those muscles working together, and you can hold your pee, unless you're a mom, you can hold it. And so you need all those muscles to work together. So that is like the number one readiness sign that I tell all of the parents that I work with. Practice it, see if they can jump. Can you jump with both feet off the floor? Can you jump ahead? Can you do a hopscotch type thing? But that's always the first thing that I ask parents.
All right, so before you begin, starting a children's like dialogue with them, use some books, which Addie's going to share with us later, I think, unless you want to do it now. It's up to you. There's one. And she has a list too later on. And then timing. So another thing we kind of try to tell parents is choose a calm time. Choose a time when you guys, aren't planning on any craziness going on in the family. There's not a new baby coming. You're not taking a vacation. You're not going to be, moving, any of those types of things. And sometimes I'll tell parents, if you're getting ready and getting started, put the child on the toilet before bath every night. You're getting them undressed anyways. So have the potty there, the potty seat, the potty chair, whatever you choose, and have them sit on it. Sure, they may not go, but it at least helps them identify like, oh, this is the time where if I'm going to go, this is when I need to go, because I know every day before I get in the bathtub, I'm going to sit on the potty. So having that kind of consistency is really important. And then Addie kind of touched on the pulling up and down of their pants. So obviously elastic waist pants are the best when you're trying to potty train, just because that's easier for them to pull up and then pull down. There's training pants, which are like the cotton layered. They're a little bit thicker underwear pants that kids can use. And then characters. Sometimes that can be a big thing for kids. Like if they can go and pick out their own characters. I know pull-ups, they have different characters, underwear has different characters. So making them have some stake and choice in what they're going to be putting on. And then decide what words you're going to be using. So there's lots of options. You can use the potty chairs that go on the potty. You can use the little potty that flushes by itself. There's different ones, all different ones. And then the other thing is body parts and language. So we did this talk last year for the first time, and it got giggles, of course, because anytime you talk about that kind of stuff, it's awkward. But using the words like penis and vagina are very important for children, just because they need to know their body parts. And if you name it something different and they're in with somebody who doesn't know that, they may not be able to communicate correctly. So I always tell parents it's best if you can use those words. It's better for them safety-wise, just in general, to know their body parts. And yes, it's awkward seeing a 2-year-old say penis or vagina, but in the long run, it's better for them. So using those language and words and terms so that they're comfortable with their body parts.
And I just realized that I didn't mirror my picture, so I will share these later, but this is what do they do with all that poo? So it talks about the animals. I know we have a couple of families who had specific poop questions of either their child is really scared of pooping on the potty. This talks all about poop, and it gives very scientific details about all the animal poops and what they do. So normalizing poop, everybody poops is obviously a book that a lot of us know. I also got, this was kind of expensive. I got it on Amazon. This is called Jane and the Giant Poop. Again, very scientific. I would use it for those older kids. It's pretty wordy, sorry, on the page, but a really great book to kind of talk about what that feels like. I read it to my older kids and they were pretty giggly about that. But it helps. And then again, body parts. I need a new butt. Just a super fun one about who doesn't want to talk about butts all the time. All boys want to talk about butts, which is what I have, which is why I own that book. But again, normalizing that for sure. Getting started. So consistency is key. As Ashley said, if something is going on, if you're going on vacation, if you're moving, new baby, you want to remain consistent in what you do and when you do it. So sitting on the potty before bath time, sometimes I've been known to like dip my kids' feet in the water, especially when they were potty training, just to kind of understand what that urge is. So again, a great time to be consistent with that. Or maybe when they wake up from nap, you're always going to ask them, let's go take a seat on the potty, let's try. Hygiene habits. So I'm super sad that we're not in person because again, Ashley did a fantastic job showing us how to wipe front to back using a balloon. We'll share that link later, but you can always have fun with it. There's that teacher on Facebook who is showing all her kids how to wipe from front to back using two balloons next to each other. So again, make it fun, have fun with it. But wiping front to back, wiping until you're clean, so until you can't see anything on the toilet paper. That's also a really good time to talk about how much toilet paper to use. Otherwise, you have to get the plunger out, and that becomes a whole plumbing skill and learning about what happens. And that can be kind of scary. So talking about how much paper you use, maybe you have a piece of tape underneath, you pull down the toilet paper and there's like 3 squares, and then they know that they can pull it right off of there. And folding it and all of that stuff. So going over that. Hand washing. I'm sure everybody's been washing their hands like crazy, so this should not be new. But after every use, even just a tinkle, even if they don't go, if you're in the bathroom and you're done, we're going to wash our hands. And then praising the child. We're going to avoid those punishments. We're not going to shame them. Even if it's, they've been really great for 2 weeks and they have an accident, we're going to remain neutral. Everybody has an accident. It's part of life. We're going to move on. We're going to get clean underwear. That's what we're going to do. So stay neutral if something happens. But then when something amazing happens, if they go potty, we are going to celebrate the heck out of that. We're going to be super excited. You're going to just break out all the steps. And regression is really common. I know it feels like you're doing something wrong, or we've gone for X many days and they've been great, and now this has happened. That's okay. It's all a part of learning. So regression is very common, especially as you get more involved with potty training. You're going to start going out to places. You're going to start seeing some of those toilets that auto flush. That's scary. So regression is common. So you're doing all the right things. We're going to remain consistent and we're going to remain neutral are the 2 biggest takeaways for me for sure.
So tips and help. So the child is already wet when you get to the bathroom. So try an earlier time next time. Always wet
Oh.
after.
I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh.
You're fine. You're fine. Always wet after snack. Try going before. Screaming and fighting. I talked to a mom the other day and she was just beside herself because he's been doing really good with potty training, but now all of a sudden he wants to fight after nap. Like he's throwing a huge tantrum and fit because she wants him to sit on the potty. And so I just encouraged her. I'm like, if he's doing pretty good and being consistent and he kind of is feeling and knows when he has to go, maybe don't push it right away. Like maybe try to let him wake up upstairs. They live in a 2-story. So I'm like, let him get up upstairs, play for a second or read a story or something, and then come downstairs. And then once he's downstairs, try to ask. But sometimes, I don't know. I don't always like being told what to do as immediately as soon as my feet hit the floor. Like, yes, as adults, we know like when we get up, the first thing we usually do is go to the bathroom. But for kids, it's that power struggle. So a lot of potty training can be a power struggle. So trying to be consistent and encourage them, but also don't make it become such a blow up fight that you're both so frustrated that nothing comes out of it, because that's not going to help anyone. So encourage sitting long. I think having those books, like if you have a couple books or even books just in general in the bathroom, giving them a chance to listen to a story, to let them relax. Like sometimes if we put them on the potty, they're so tense because like, oh, I know I'm supposed to do something right now. And mommy really wants me to do something. Daddy really wants me. And they can't, relax enough to go. So giving them, some things in there to do, to, read a book. Or I've seen people sometimes who will let their kids use dry erase markers on the toilet seat, like write in color while they're going to the bath, trying to go to the bathroom, or different things like tips. And then having your child wait outside or wait until they leave the bathroom to flush about the pooping. So I know like sometimes we can have, and we've had questions about pooping. A lot of times kids pick one or the other. I feel like they're not consistently good at both. So a lot of times a kid can pee in the potty and does great, or they can poop in the potty and they pee everywhere. So it's kind of one of those things. Figure out which one they're consistent about, praise that one, and then work on the other one. So it could be that they are scared of the flushing, or it could be that they're not relaxed enough. Or with my youngest, we pooped on the potty from like probably 20 months on. Like he was just really good about pooping on the potty, which was wonderful, but he peed everywhere all the time. It was just a constant flood of pee around my house and it drove me crazy. And I'm like, why is he not able, he's pooping, why can't he pee? Well, then we send him to preschool. And I realized he didn't get a cup all day at preschool. And mommy let him have a cup all day, anytime, everywhere, all the time he was drinking. So of course he was just peeing everywhere because he had so much fluid in him. So, those kind of things, like realize like, oh, they only have a bladder that's so big. So when you're starting to do this potty training, probably limiting their drinks to just snack and lunch and breakfast and dinner, and not allowing that cup to just sit around all day long. And then encourage setting, or at least going to the bathroom to poop, even if you have poop in your pull-up or diaper. And Addie and I were talking to, like, it's like anything else with us. Like if you have steak in something, you're going to be a lot more apt to want to do it or participate. Or if it's something that is unpleasant, you're probably going to fix it so you don't have to do it again. So if your child's having issues with pooping and they poop in their pull-up or diaper and they're old enough, encourage them to help clean up the mess. Encourage them to maybe take the pull-up and dump it in the toilet and flush the poop down the toilet, so that they have to deal with kind of handling it versus just always, you taking care of it and them getting a clean diaper and then everything fine. So giving them the opportunity to have to kind of help clean up the mess. And see, it isn't that great to have to clean it all up, and that might help them be better with that.
There you go. Ashley and I had talked about, so there's a chart of bowel movements and what that looks like. And a child's bowel movement should be the consistency of like soft serve ice cream. And if it's not, they might be constipated. So they might need more water, or they might need, Metamucil, or talking with your doctor about what they can have can be really helpful, or prunes, or I feel like any fruit is going to help you kind of get a little bit more routine in that. So yeah, some chocolate soft serve is what you're looking for. If you've got pebbles, they're constipated. If you've got giant logs like poor Jane in the book has, constipation. And that's really painful. So we want to get that taken care of and figured out before you really want to concentrate on moving forward with that. So
yeah, and once they start having trouble with constipation, it can be, like Addie just said, super painful and super uncomfortable to the point where they become so scared. And so I know kids I've kept, like they've had really bad problems with this, and we've dealt with them screaming on the toilet because it's just so large when they finally can go. So definitely check in with your pediatrician, make sure, I mean, there's lots of different little tips and tricks they can have you add, you know, Miralax in for a few days or whatever to try to help to get it softer, because none of us like to have to pass something that's uncomfortable. So obviously, like she said, keep on track and keep on top of that. And if you have the opposite problem and it's super loose stool all the time, then there may be something else you're lacking in your diet too. So just kind of paying attention to what their stool is like.
and I will say, I didn't put this on the slide, but nighttime pottying and toilet learning at nighttime, a lot of times accidents are very normal. I don't think pediatricians are concerned about it until they're about 8 years old. So wetting the bed, not something we need to be overly concerned about. It's something that you can kind of keep track of and know, but the science is going away from, like, back when I potty trained my 16-year-old. He was 3.5 because he did not care. He loved wearing diapers. So we spent a lot of days without a diaper on. Poor Thomas the train track. Some of those are really scrubbed good and bleached, and you know what happened to those guys, and it was not a good story. But we spent a lot of time working on that. And when I potty trained him for nighttime, I woke him up before I went to bed, and then I would set an alarm, and which was like maybe 10:30. He went to bed at 7. I would wake him up at 10:30 before I went to bed. I would have him sit on the potty. He was a zombie. And then I would wake up again at like 2 a.m. and take him again. The science is really going away from that. Which, yay, because nobody needs to do that. It was a mess. I was a zombie in the morning. He was so confused when I would take him to the bathroom. He didn't know what was happening. It was kind of effective for him, but it was a long process. That was 2 weeks of nighttime sleep that I'll never get back in my entire life. But I will say a giant tip that I got from my parent educator was to double make the bed. So at nighttime, you're going to have the first, like that layer of, what's it called?
Fitted sheet. And
The waterproof,
waterproof.
and then the fitted sheet. And then you're going to do that a second time. So waterproof pad, fitted sheet. I've been known to like triple and quadruple depending on where we are in the potty training process, the bed, so that if they wake up wet in the middle of the night, all you have to do is concentrate on getting them a new underwear and new pants, moving on with life. You can take that top layer off. Everybody's back to bed faster. So that saved my life a lot of times. Well, my 8-year-old, no, I don't think he still has it. I feel like for a while I just left it on there for fun because it doesn't get dirty because it's the second layer. So who cares? But yeah, layering the bed sheets, definitely big help with that waterproof pad.
And boys tend to have that issue a lot longer than girls. I have 2 boys and I have 1 daughter. And my oldest 2 potty trained super early and quick and easy because I was keeping like 6 kids and they were all the same age. And I spent my entire life in the bathroom and they picked it up real fast. But my oldest struggled for a very long time with nighttime, like consistently. And so the doctor, like Addie said, and honestly, they're even worried older. So like 12, 13 before they really start to get concerned with boys. And a lot of that has to do with their body parts growing. So sometimes one part will grow faster than another part. And so really it's not anything to be concerned about. So if you can conquer the daytime pottying and at night, you know, they wet or whatever, that's okay. Same thing with pooping. Sometimes I'll have families that say at night my kid poops because at night they finally relax and they poop in their pull-up or diaper. And while it's messy and not fun, that's just where they're at right now. So try to give them grace and encourage them and clean up the mess and move on. And if that's how they can finally release themselves and it's helping them and they're not getting really backed up, that's way better than the opposite end of the spectrum where they're so uncomfortable. So giving them that chance to, control and be able to know the control of their body. And it doesn't always happen on our time.
And there's 2 pictures on this slide. So the potty training chart and then the reward chart underneath of it. There's lots of tools that you can find out in the internet and figure out what works best for your kiddo. It doesn't have to be super involved. You can give them a sticker. If you're not opposed to candy, you can I would go smaller rather than bigger. So 1 Skittle or M&M for pee. I think chocolate is better for teeth than the sugary stuff is. Ironic, right? So if you give them 1 M&M for pee and 2 M&Ms for pooping, but keep it small, keep it consistent, always have it by the toilet. Something that they know. And as they get older and more prepared to be on the potty, then maybe you can stretch that out to a full day of going to the potty and making it every time. Then at the end of the day, maybe they get, 3 M&Ms or whatever your treat is. I've heard a lot of families do like Matchbox cars, which are not super expensive, but again, that would be kind of those bigger at the end of the day or at the end of 2 days kind of thing. So stretching that out, but getting a reward. I mean, think about it. If I got a reward for every time I went poop on the potty, man, I would want to go all the time. So you just have to figure out what their reward system needs to be. Because sometimes kids don't care about M&Ms and they don't care about Matchbox cars. They want 5 minutes on your phone or whatever the case is. You have to figure out what really motivates them. So then we've got a little funny video we'll share with you. So that again, just bringing a normalcy to potty training. It's often not smooth. It ebbs and flows, has a lot of peaks and valleys. So you just have to figure out what works best for you. But again, staying patient, getting excited when they do something amazing, even if it's very small. I forgot to mention, for boys, again, my mind is boy centered because I have 3 boys, but they have those urinals that you can put up in your bathroom. If that's a thing that's fun for you or it makes it exciting for the kiddo, you could try that. They also have the different potty seats. So they have the potty seat that sits on the top of the toilet, and then it has like the adult version underneath of it. So they've kind of made it more compact in recent years. And this squatty potty, that's been huge the last couple of years. So even for kids, noticing that they might need their legs at a certain height. And that's kind of the beauty of those smaller potty chairs that sit on the floor. It keeps their legs exactly where they need to be comfortable, to kind of just have that moment of let down and relaxation, and then getting that back into that. So the squatty potty, think about it for adults and kids all over the place. This is our resource list that we made. I know there's a couple of families that I work with who need extra resources, either with special needs kiddos. So I put in a couple of those. American Academy of Pediatrics has amazing resources on there. I didn't link it specifically, but you can look for toilet learning or potty training. St. Louis Children's Hospital is also a great resource. The extension for University of Missouri has a lot of information. I was really pleased with finding that one. And then of course, all the potty books on there. I don't know that I've ever met a potty book that I didn't like. And if you're talking about potty, enjoy it, have fun with it. Elmo has a million, Daniel Tiger has some of those very favorite characters talk about potty and going potty. Use that to your advantage for sure.
One more thing that we forgot to mention. So I see Clint still with us there. So encouraging dads to be really involved when it comes to the potty training process. Like I know sometimes if you're constantly at home with the child, it may fall on your shoulders more often than not. But like Addie was saying about the automatic flushing toilets or a urinal, sometimes kids have never seen a urinal at all if they've only gone potty with mommy in a bathroom consistently, because we don't have urinals in our bathrooms. So if you have young boys, encourage dad when you're out, or grandpa or whoever is in their life that's a male, to help out with some of that, because that's important for them to see. Because once they go to elementary school, they have urinals. They don't have tons of stalls. They have a couple, but they don't have tons and tons of them. And the other thing, my mom, she does before and after care in the school district. And so she's experienced that sometimes boys don't always know not to pull their pants all the way down if they've only gone potty with mommy, because we have them pull their pants all the way down. That's just how it is. Or they sit to pee. So learning how to stand to pee, and then learning that there is that penis pocket, is what we call it at our house, on the underwear, so that you can just not have to completely derobe, but be able to just get it out to go and then be able to put it back away. Because a lot of the kids will sometimes have to go with the older kids, and the kindergartners or first graders even, or however, will get made fun of because they're pulling their pants all the way down to their ankles, for boys especially. So there's all these little quirks that I never realized, because I grew up with a sister and a mom, and my mom. I didn't watch my dad go to the bathroom. And so I'm like, I didn't know that those things existed until I had little boys. And so just recognizing the fact that, we have lots of different things depending on the sex of the child and bathroom situation. So making sure we have everybody involved, that it doesn't just fall on one shoulder or the other, but including everybody. And that video touched on a really cute thing about the fact that, I'm not ready. So that's another thing. Like if you're joining us tonight because you're thinking about it, and your child may not be showing any of the signs yet, or maybe they're showing the signs, you're not quite ready yet. Like we have to be honest with where we're at. Diapers are much easier than underwear or potty training, because you change the child when you're ready to change the child. So if you're not at a place where you're ready to commit to constantly having to, focus on that right now. And let's be honest, this year has been crazy for all of us. COVID has been toilet paper. I mean, we did not have toilet paper at our disposal like we're always accustomed to having. So just taking an honest look at yourself and where your family is, and being willing to be okay with that. I think peer pressure, has its pros and its cons, but in potty training, I feel like it's so negative, because we compare kids so badly. Like, oh, well, your brother was trained at this age, so you need to be trained at this age. Well, my kids are a huge example of that not happening. I mean, my first two were super early. My last one, it was right before he started preschool and turned 4. And I was okay with that. It was really hard for me to swallow as a mom and a parent educator that he wasn't gung-ho and ready, because I just felt like such a failure. I'm like, I'm going into all these homes at 2 years old or 2.5 and telling them like, start potty training or think about potty training. And here I'm going home to my little guy who has no interest, and we're still in diapers because he just wasn't ready. It just wasn't important enough to him. And then when it happened, it was way easier than the other two, because he did it. Like he was just one day, okay, I'm ready to do this and I've got it. So, just taking an honest inventory of yourself and your child.
All right, so I think we've got some questions. We might have answered a couple, but if you've got questions, feel free, unmute yourself, talk to us. Julie, do we have any questions in the chat? Oh, you're muted. Nope.
No, we don't.
Let's see.
No questions at
Stop
all.
sharing so we can see everybody's faces.
There we go. Thank you. All right, somebody has to have a question. You all came here tonight, so you have to have something.
I'll take one for the team. Do you have suggestions for like a strong-willed child? Like he literally says to me, I say, we're gonna go potty on the potty day, right? We're gonna try. And he goes, no, you changed me. You changed my diaper. And it's like, wow, thank you. I mean, and then he'll like, he understands, like he'll go potty and he'll poop and he'll go, I'm sorry I pooped. You changed me. And it's like, no.
Yeah. Sounds like he's probably, while he has the verbiage and he can tell you, he's just really wanting to own control of that situation right now. So I would say, you know, he probably isn't ready to like do it yet. He obviously doesn't want to do it. So maybe just kind of take a step back and don't, you know, push it or don't constantly ask him, but just maybe let him take the lead and not make a bit, you know, like say, okay, I'll change you today, you know, but eventually it'd be really cool if you were able to go on the potty like mommy and daddy do. Like we go on the big boy potty and we, you know, wear big boy underwear and just try to keep it positive or be like, you know, I can do it. Can you do it? Make a game of it. Like, oh, I bet you can't, but I can. I bet, you know, I can get an M&M if I go to the bathroom. Why don't you try to go to the bathroom?
Yeah, we've tried a lot of different things. We got the cotton underwear that you were talking about, and I was like, look, it's Mickey Mouse. He didn't really care. I tried taking the diaper off and like just letting him kind of run around with this underwear on to feel it being wet when he peed, and he was just kind of like, oh, okay, whatever, and then kept going. I tried bribery as the video was saying, and he goes, I go, come on, if you go potty, you get a cookie. I don't need cookies. And you're like, oh, okay then. Every other time you want a cookie, but I guess you don't need cookies. And then we tried, I got this potty watch. I didn't try that with my oldest, and so I was like, oh, let's try this potty watch. And he was super excited at the beginning because I don't know if you've ever seen that show Bowel on the Go, but they have an Energizer watch, and so he's like, it's my energy. And he was so excited about that, but then like I don't know what he did, but somehow even whether I set it for 30 minutes or 60 minutes, he inevitably peed around it. Like we would go inside the potty every 30 minutes and we'd go and sit and nothing would happen, and then like afterwards he'd pee. And I was like, how did you even manage to time that to pee in the opposite time slots that we've programmed this watch for? We tried Big Brother. Like Big Brother goes potty and we're like, look, Big Brother's going potty, you can do that too. And none of that's really, a lot of the things there's just, and none of that's working. So I was like, and I did kind of take a step back for the last month or so, just because he was so strong-willed about it and said, no, I'm not doing this, you changed me. And I said, okay then. So I just kind of, you know, we have pull-ups, and if he tells me, great, but it would be nice to like at least get him okay with the idea. And I started taking him to, like you suggested, at certain times of the day, but then he'll look at me, and it's funny because he's got this look on his face like, well, I tried. And he looks at me and he goes, I tried. It not working. Mm-hmm. And he just kind of looks at me like, you're not getting it. It's not working. And I'm like, okay, well, squeeze your belly. And he'll go, ooh, and he'll go, you push my belly. And so I'll push on his belly. And then we haven't had any really, we've had maybe one success or two tops in the last couple, maybe 3 months or so.
How about, have you tried like having you make the choice when you ask him, do you want to try and go potty before your show or after your show? That way he's still kind of in charge and the whole power struggle, but then you're still getting whatever you want, wanting at least to go try it, but he can make that his own choice.
I kind of tried that too, because I was like, okay, maybe he just wants, like you said, be in control. And I was like, do you want to go, would you like to go potty now? And then he'll go, no, I'm not doing that. That's where we're at right now. I'm not doing that. Okay.
Yeah. Well, maybe offer that choice so he can answer. Do you want to try to go potty before the show or after? So he has to answer one of those. And if he doesn't, pick, then I'll pick for you. We're going to try and go, but try to give him the option to give a suggestion maybe.
Yeah, I did give him the option, and he just said, and then I do take him, but he'll go, I'm not doing that. So that's kind of where we're at, just very like, I'm not doing that. I tried, it's not working. I'm done.
How old is he?
He turned 2 in April.
Okay.
So still pretty young. I might give it a break or two and just inundate him with all of the shows that talk about pottying, all of the books that talk about pottying. I would continue to do what you're doing of like, Big Brother just went potty. That's amazing. and talking about poop. Who doesn't like to talk about poop? I could talk about poop all day. Maybe dad can take him to the potty. Maybe show him the pee pocket in the underwear. Who knows what will motivate him, but he might be pretty young. A lot of times those boys are like 2.5, almost 3 before they're really prepared.
Or 3.5. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's hard to, as you were saying, between children, it's hard to kind of know, especially like as a parent, because you're and talking about how things have changed and stuff. Like our parents, my husband and I both, our parents were like, you potty trained at 1 because you took your diaper off and said you didn't want to be wet anymore. And my husband's family was the same. And so in my mind, with our first, we were like, okay, so we're shooting for 1. Okay, cool. And so, and thankfully, our oldest, I mean, he wasn't potty trained at 1. It was more like 2, but he was excited and interested in it. And he would follow me to the bathroom. I go potty too. And like, he was just the total like opposite. He was like, I got this. Let's do this. Let's hurry this along. And brother's like, I'm not doing this. So it's just interesting to see the differences. And I just didn't know, where the appropriate, I also didn't want a lot of places, if that makes sense. I'm fine letting him wait. And especially given the current conditions, we're not start going anywhere. But in some daycare situations, they need to be potty trained by a certain time for you to be able to enroll them. And so that's where it kind of gets tricky, where it's like, I'd love to let you wait until whatever you feel like that, whether that's, 3, 4, 5, whatever you want. But then at the same time, for you to be enrolled someplace, you need to realistically be able to do that by like 3 or,
And I do find like a lot of kiddos that I've kept, even maybe struggling like towards the end when I have them before the parents are taking. I used to keep kids in my home exclusively before I was a parent educator. And I would, usually by 2.5, 3, start encouraging mom and dad, like maybe you should find a center. Like I loved keeping them in my home, but I had lots of different ages and I couldn't always offer that structure that they need. So like with my little guy too, preschool turned the corner for us on potty training a lot with the peeing, because they're structured. They're like extremely structured, and they can be structured because that's what they're there for. And so a lot of times parents will be so worried, like, oh, my kid's starting and they said they have to be potty trained and yada, yada, yada. And I always tell the parents, like, just like with school age kids, be honest with the director, be honest with the teachers. Like, you don't want to send your kid to fail and be like, oh yeah, they're potty trained, and then have an accident right away. But most places, like, they have that, but they'll say like, well, we'll work with them, or we'll, and I think they're, like I said, I think the trend is changing in the sense that they're wanting to give that gap. Like I know last year when we did this presentation at Barfield, Tara had even shared that they were kind of thinking about changing their requirements, because they had kind of always said if it was a general, typical developing child, that they needed to be potty trained by 3. But I just feel like now as a whole, we're learning like sometimes kids just aren't ready for that. So he's young, give him a break for a little while. Like Addie said, maybe just stop for a little bit and inundate him with the idea of it, but have it come from other sources besides mommy and daddy, and, and just have it. Elmo tells him he needs to go potty, and Daniel Tiger tells him he needs to go potty. And then maybe he'll come to a place where he's kind of ready to do it.
And aren't there free examples of that? Because I did do, like, we have Netflix, and Coco Melon has an episode where they do pottying. And so we watched that, but he just looks at me and he goes, good job. And then he goes, I'm not doing that. I was like, okay, well, so I wouldn't mind, looking for other place or other, things, but I also don't, have the financial needs at the moment to spend like $50 to order Amazon books about pottying that we're not going to use.
Library.
Yes.
Library. Go to the library.
And they even have videos that you can check out, movies and DVDs. And a lot of stuff now is digital, where you just have to have a library card and you can get it on your computer or whatever. Like, it's pretty cool.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes, so I will say, children who are strong-willed, I have one, I feel you, I get it. Nutrition, so picky eaters, and potty training. Those are 2 things that a child is in full control of. So if you want to fight them on that, I wouldn't recommend it. I would let it go. I would ease up, go to the library. I know for a fact they have 1 million books on potty training. 1 million might be overestimating, but a lot of books on potty training and videos. They've got all the Elmo stuff too. So check that out. Also YouTube. YouTube can be a friend to you. Checking out some of those popular characters on there. I would watch the video before sitting down with your son. Sometimes you'll look something up, you think it's safe and it's not. So just go that route. I was going to say something else and then it flew right out the window. It'll probably come to me.
Okay, well, we'll try some of those like other resources just to kind of like get the idea going. I just, like I said, he was super excited with the potty wash, and I thought I was like, that's my end, we got it. And then it fizzled out because he would just look at me and go, I tried and it not working. And I was like, oh, okay, alrighty then. All right, well, I'll let someone else take over. They have a question. I don't want to hog all the time.
It's okay.
I have one that he will sit on the potty and usually go pee, but then he does not want to get up. So he's like all done. He's so proud of himself. But then I can't get him to leave. He just wants to sit there all the time. And so I usually end up having to like count down or like showing him a timer. And that's the only way I can get him off is usually, or, some type of like reward, that's in the other room. That's the only way. So,
That's hysterical.
Yeah. Like, and like he totally has the muscle control, like, because he'll start to go, stop it, start to go, stop it. So like I know he's got it, but I think he's so proud about it that he just wants to keep going. And then of course there's nothing left to keep coming out, and so he just sits there, and then it turns into a fight of, okay, you have to get off the potty rather than making it about the potty training part. So I mean, any other ideas on how to get him to leave the bathroom?
I was going to say, I love the things that you already put in place. So the countdown or a timer is perfect, or maybe you get to finish with a book. He gets a special book to read while he's sitting on the potty, or incorporating, is he sitting on like a small potty?
No, he wants the big one.
He's on the big one. So he gets
Yes.
to flush it, and then maybe he gets to clean the potty. Use this to your advantage, I think. If he wants to help with some of those ending processes, or playing in the water, maybe with some of the hand washing, use a special soap.
Soap, I always recommend soap.
Ease him out.
Yeah, find blue soap, whatever you're gonna get to have him, go to next and kind of help with that.
That might help. He's like all about the bathroom, brushing his teeth. He goes in there all the time. It's like, I mean, I guess it's good hygiene, but nonstop brushing his teeth. Like I have to hide the toothpaste because he'll just keep brushing and brushing and then keeps going to the potty. But so I have the opposite problem of most people, but yeah. Okay. So we'll just try kind of those transition things with him.
Ooh, Cassandra has a good one. Can you put stickers on the reward chart as motivation to leave the bathroom? So maybe the reward chart isn't in the bathroom, it's somewhere away that he has to walk to. Or he gets a sticker, or he gets to put a sticker on his shirt, or maybe a baby doll or an animal friend needs,
The only problem, he like doesn't even want any of that stuff. Like there is no reward chart. Like I tried M&Ms and he's like, oh, whatever type of thing. But we could try, who knows what will actually end up working. So that's a good idea.
I love that he doesn't want to leave. That's so funny.
Yeah, he's our tricky one. Our middle one he's something.
I was dying to know which one it was. I was waiting.
Yes. The crazy one, but yep, he makes life fun.
Any other questions out there?
Cassandra made a good point here. She said that they rushed out of the bathroom with my oldest to put stickers on the fridge chart to show Dad whenever he got home.
That's a good idea.
Good idea.
Yeah.
I know. I was trying to think of something that you could do outside the bathroom. I don't know, maybe an activity, something he doesn't normally get to do, but maybe he can do it afterwards.
Could go tell the dog he went potty.
Yeah.
every time.
Every time.
Every time, go find the dog first of
Won't be
all.
in the bathroom. Go tell the puppy you went potty.
Mhm.
Maybe the puppy gets a sticker.
But I don't know if she would like it, but he would try to give it to her.
Could you just turn off the light and just like bye, and hopefully
Ooh.
he'll follow?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I
not going to be
try.
pitch black, and
Mhm.
I guess
Yeah, he just
eventually
turns it
he'll
back
get
on.
bored. Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. And then he'll close the door, everything. He wants to be in there himself and do, brush the teeth, go potty. He'll try and get in the bath. I'm just like, no, 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 no. So, but yeah, we'll try just kind of setting maybe just be more consistent with something. If we actually find something, that might also help, just the consistency part. But
So I have
he's
Swedish
tricky.
fish on my sink in my bathroom right now and an empty washed out Nutella jar for my nephew. So that's what we found works for him because he needed some type of reinforcement. And so the other day, our neighbor came over and he's like, why do you have candy in your bathroom? Like, why are the Swedish fish hanging out on your sink? I'm like, those are Logan's potty rewards. Like, that's what we choose to use. And we just have the itty bitty mini ones. So yeah, maybe finding something that he can
Mhm.
figure out that he enjoys. But I've seen it all. I've done a lot of different things to get kids to go to the bathroom and they manage to get potty trained. That's the other encouragement is like most kids become potty trained before they go to school. Maybe not preschool, but before they start kindergarten. Generally, most kids are potty trained and they figure it out. And in the moment, it is painstaking work and you just want to, beat your head against the wall because you're just so discouraged sometimes. But once it happens, then it's like, oh my gosh, that happened. Like, that seems like so long ago. Like, I mean, I really did not feel like my youngest was going to do it. I was just beside myself. And now he's 5 and going to kindergarten and he's potty trained completely. So, and he doesn't struggle with overnight at all, like my oldest one did. And so that's been really encouraging for me as a mom because I'm like, well, maybe because we waited longer with him, he had better control and I let that grow more for a little boy than it needed to. And with my first one, I had, encouraged him to go and he went, but he started going a lot sooner is where, my youngest, he had a lot more time to grow and learn that bladder control. And now, like I said, he doesn't have to wear anything at night and really never has. So.
And that's definitely where the science is coming from. And if you wait till they're ready, so 2.5, that's probably too early. If you wait 2.5 to 3, there is no magic age. It's just whatever works best. But they are saying that if you wait a little longer, if you can wait it out, it will be better in the long run. They will have all that bodily function kind of down to a T, and it will kind of help with that. Also, your kiddo who doesn't want to get out of the bathroom, you can remind him when he's 10, 11, and he doesn't want to take showers, that there was once upon a time that you couldn't get him out. So hopefully all of this good hygiene will move on to his older years. And along with that, so a lot of us are in the thick of it and everything is very recent. But to Cassandra's point of her parents being like, you were potty trained at 1. All right. I love a good grandparent. I love them. Your memory puts things in a positive perspective as the years go on. So perhaps you might have been, I'm not saying you weren't, potty trained at 1, but oftentimes you remember things more rosy than they ended up being. So take all the grandparent stories kind of as a grain of rice type of thing.
And I always remind families too, honestly, it's those nerve cells in their brain that the last ones to be connected are the ones that control the bladder and the bowels. Until they're connected, you can encourage all you want, but it's not going to happen. So just play smart and go as well, hey, grandma, just so you know, his little nerve cells yet aren't quite connected. It's okay. So
yeah,
that's what I always tell families. And it's true, but
yeah. Any other questions?
You guys have been such good listeners. I'm just so impressed. This is way better than my kids' Zooms and Google Meets where everybody's like, the whole time. So it's been good. Well, thank you guys for joining us. And Addie had the link there, and this will all be recorded, right? Addie on YouTube, she'll post it eventually. So you can click back on that if you need to rewatch or you have someone you know that couldn't make it tonight or wants to rewatch it. It's not going anywhere. So all those resources will be listed there. I don't know, is there anything
And
else
I
you
will
wanted to add?
put our PowerPoint on the link under the YouTube video as well. So it'll probably be posted tomorrow because YouTube is super slow on my computer. So it'll be up tomorrow and you'll be able to see the PowerPoint. You can go back to all of those tips and tricks and everything else. And I think Ashley and I, our emails are at the end too. So if you needed us, you can always reach out, pediatricians, your parent educator, your teachers, anybody who's a resource for you, feel free. Reach out to us. We're there for you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.